Imagine spending almost your whole life in captivity. 50 years with no hope of freedom. I'm talking about an elephant who lived this way. But when an animal rescue team tried to save him, something surprising happened that no one saw coming. This is the story of Kailash, an elephant who went through unimaginable pain and suffering. Born in the wilds of Uttar Pradesh, India, he was free and surrounded by his family. But Kailash's life took a dark turn. At a young age, he was stolen from his mother. This innocent baby elephant, who should have been playing and learning, was taken away to face a life of torment. For the next 50 years, Kailash would endure unimaginable cruelty, something no living being should ever experience. As a young calf, he was poached from the wild and thrown into captivity. Picture the fear he must have felt, torn from everything he knew and forced into a life of misery. His captors didn't care about his pain. They only saw him as a tool, an object to make money off of. Kailash's first owner, a man from Uttar Pradesh, saw him as nothing more than a way to make money. He forced Kailash to perform tricks and give rides to tourists, all while barely feeding him. The tourists, unaware of the cruelty Kailash was enduring, thought they were being kind by tossing him coins and food. But in reality, this was only adding to his suffering. For years, Kailash was passed from one heartless owner to another. His life became a painful cycle of abuse and exploitation. With each new owner, things got worse. His feet were chained with heavy, sharp metal spikes that dug into his skin. These chains weren't just uncomfortable, they caused constant pain, cutting into him with every step he took. Despite the agony, Kailash never lashed out. He couldn't fight back. All he could do was endure. His spirit was slowly crushed under the weight of his suffering. Kailash didn't think about freedom anymore. After so many years of cruelty, he just wanted enough food to survive and to be free from the chains that bound him. His only hope was to be left in peace. Over the years, his feet became deformed from walking on rough, unforgiving roads. The chains, constantly digging into his skin, caused bleeding that never seemed to stop. Yet, to his owners, these were just small inconveniences, nothing more than the cost of making money off of him. For 50 long years, Kailash's life was nothing but pain and hardship. His body was scarred, covered in bruises from the chains, with overgrown nails that dug into his flesh. His feet were swollen and misshapen. Still, his owners paid no attention to the suffering they caused. They worked him until he could no longer bear it, and when he was no longer useful, they tossed him aside, like a broken tool, with no care for his well-being. But then, a ray of hope came. A group of animal rights activists working with the SOS Wildlife organization learned about Kailash's terrible condition from his owner's neighbor. When they first saw him, they couldn't believe their eyes. Kailash was weak, starving, and covered in deep wounds. His chains were so tight that they had actually dug into his skin. He had been living in misery for years, with no shelter, no care, and no love. The SOS Wildlife team knew they had to act fast to save him. They understood the rescue wouldn't be easy, but they weren't going to give up. Kailash's owner had no legal claim over him, but the team would need to take legal action to get him released. They rushed to work with the Uttar Pradesh Forest Department, pushing for permission to rescue Kailash before his health got any worse. Time was running out, but hope was finally within reach for Kailash. But Kailash's owner wasn't going to let him go without a fight. He had been making money off Kailash for years and wasn't about to give up his source of income easily. Even when the animal rights activists offered him a large sum of money, he refused. The team knew this wouldn't be an easy battle, but they couldn't back down. They needed to act fast to save Kailash before it was too late. They appealed to the court, explaining that Kailash's health was rapidly worsening, and he couldn't survive much longer in his current condition. However, the court system in India was slow, and there was a long line of cases ahead. If they waited for their turn, Kailash might not make it. With no time to lose, the team decided to take action themselves. They knew they had to be careful, though. Any wrong move could cause Kailash even more pain. Their first task was to get Kailash away from his cruel owner. Once they had him in their hands, they moved quickly, cutting the chains that had been digging into his skin for so long. Kailash's reaction was heartbreaking. For the first time in his life, he was free from the heavy chains that had caused him so much pain. His first steps without the chains were slow and careful, as if he couldn't quite believe he was free. It was a moment filled with emotion, a mix of confusion and relief. But the real challenge wasn't just freeing him from the chains. It was getting Kailash away from his cruel owner. The team had already planned ahead and prepared an elephant rescue truck to safely transport him. Luckily, they managed to move Kailash without his owner finding out. The journey to recovery was not easy. Kailash had endured so much physical pain over the years that it would take time for his body to heal. With the help of the SOS Wildlife team, Kailash was given the care he needed. He was taken to an elephant sanctuary where he could finally live peacefully, surrounded by other elephants who understood him. Kailash's former owner never reported him missing. He didn't have the legal papers to prove he owned Kailash, so there was nothing he could do. For the first time, Kailash was free. Truly free. The team of SOS Wildlife worked tirelessly to ensure Kailash received the care he desperately needed. They didn't just treat his physical wounds, they helped him regain the strength he had lost over so many years of suffering. His recovery was slow, but it was nothing short of remarkable. Kailash went from being weak and frail to standing tall and strong again. Every day, he grew stronger, and his spirit slowly returned. Once Kailash was in better health, the SOS team made arrangements to transport him to South Africa. There, a skilled animal rescue team would continue to provide the treatment he needed. After 3 months of dedicated care, Kailash was finally fully recovered. He was free from the cruelty that had haunted him for so long, and the team released him into a lush, peaceful forest where he could roam freely, just as he was always meant to. Kailash's story is heartbreaking, but it is also one of incredible strength and resilience. Despite everything he endured, he never gave up. His journey was filled with pain, but thanks to the tireless work of the animal rights activists, Kailash found his freedom again. His story reminds us of the importance of fighting for animal rights and standing up for those who can't speak for themselves. No creature should have to suffer in silence, and Kailash's rescue shows that with enough determination and compassion, we can make a difference. Kailash may have spent over 50 years in chains, but he ended his story in the way all animals deserve, free and surrounded by nature. He finally found the peace and freedom he had been denied for so long. For that, we can all be thankful. His recovery is a symbol of hope and a victory for all the animals who need our help.